Welcome to Stellar Reflections, the space where astrology meets real life. I'm Georgina Sierra, here to explore the cycles, crossroads, and inner seasons that shape who we become. Whether you're stepping into adulthood, navigating midlife, or entering a new chapter of wisdom, you'll find insights, stories, and cosmic guidance to help you understand your path. This is a place for all people, all identities, and all phases of life. So no matter where you are on your journey, you're welcome in this space. Welcome to another episode of Stellar Reflections. I'm really excited to have you here today. Today I'm going to talk about being your true self and one of the goddesses that can help symbolize or help guide us in being our true selves. And the goddess of today is Vesta. She is an amazing goddess, otherwise known as Hestia in Greek mythology. She is also an asteroid in an astrological chart that shows us and talks to us about our inner flame of authenticity. I decided to talk about her next in our series of episodes because I was thinking about last episode with Michelle Wollaston, which was absolutely amazing and inspiring. But she also spoke about, what is in your heart and all of these different themes that were coming up. And I thought, well, does it make a difference if you know who you are? Does it make a difference if you're being true to yourself? Potentially it does. Vesta, otherwise known as Hestia in ancient Greek mythology. She's known as Vesta in Roman mythology. And she symbolizes our inner flame. What do we do? And this is completely different for everyone. What do you do in your life to keep your flame alive? You see, I'd like to begin with the idea that being your true self is an inner devotion, not a performance, not to show to people, oh, I do this for self-care and blah, 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 blee, 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 and everything. It is what you do for yourself. Your authenticity, being true to yourself, being yourself, it comes from tending to your inner hearth first before showing yourself to the world. If you don't do what is in your heart, for you, the flame could die out. It's like a flame. You need an ignition source, you need a fuel source, and you need oxygen. What is the oxygen? What is the ignition source? And what is the fuel source for the flame in your heart and in your soul? Now, it is hard to be yourself. It really is. We've got social conditioning, culture, family roles to think about. Survival strategies. Sometimes we put on a mask because we know we won't be accepted. It could be we're shy to be ourselves or we don't know who we are to show ourselves to the world. And to do so, we kind of fragment ourselves to fit in. It's like cutting your soul down or your body down to fit into a box that you don't fit in. And these patterns over a lifetime can dim our inner flame. This is why we need to be true to ourselves. Now let's look at Vesta. What does she show us in how we can keep our inner flame alive? Well, her energy, of course, depending on which sign and which house she belongs to in your astrological chart, she shows us our devotion to ourselves. What do you need to do to be true to yourself? Do you devote time to a spiritual practice? It could be playing a game of tennis against a ball machine throwing balls at you at 100 miles an hour. And that ignites your flame. What do you to devote time to yourself, to be yourself? Are you being truthful to yourself by being yourself? Now, some of us, yes, me included, especially from a very young age, I found myself being quite amenable to others, very easygoing. Some people would say, oh, you're so easygoing. And, I don't mind. If I can help someone out, yep, I'll do it. But it got to a point where I was like, okay, this is a little bit abusive in the sense that people are taking me for granted and trying to invade my boundaries. And when I stood up for myself, well, they didn't like that. But if you find that you have to put a mask on, again, that is like fragmenting yourself to fit in, for that survival as well, to be accepted. And unfortunately, as we're growing up, and it could be a cultural thing, could be a Gen X thing for me, but I found myself putting on a mask and changing my voice depending on the person that I was interacting with rather than being my true self. And it was exhausting. I don't know how I did it. I think once I hit midlife, I was like, nope, stuff that. Too much energy. Or maybe because I had kids, I was like, too much on my plate to even think about. But it's not true to yourself, not acting like yourself. And as you know, my daughter gave me the most beautiful compliment a couple of years ago. I'll never forget it. She said, Mummy, I want to be just like you. And I'm like, oh, sweetheart. No, that was my response. No, be yourself. I'm already taken. No one else is like you. Please be yourself. My son is an Aquarian. I keep telling him, if you try to fit in, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose it. No way. That is not you. Be yourself. If you're a little weirdo, even better. Be your weird self. Okay? So yeah, as I said, I didn't put those masks on anymore. And the people that didn't like that were like, yep, they moved away. These people come into your life to teach you something and you teach them something as well. But the people that were right for me were like, finally, I can finally see who you are. I knew you were in there. I knew you were a little bit of a nut job. But, Vesta can also show us what our spiritual discipline is. Now, I don't mean you have to go to church every Sunday or pray every day. It could be meditation. It could be connecting with nature and grounding yourself, whatever feeds your soul. If it is going to church every Sunday or whatever your faith is, going to temple, going to a mosque, doesn't matter. I don't care. We all believe in the same higher power in our different ways. What is your spiritual discipline that feeds your soul? And Vesta also shows us the clarity of purpose we have in our lives. There are a lot of things, especially with social media, with technology flying at us every day, that we are so overwhelmed. We can't see for the forest for the trees. We don't know what to aim for. And you'll probably hear a lot of people saying, look, just put it out into the universe, what you want to do with your life, and it'll happen. Don't focus on the details, and the universe will put it together. They are absolutely right. There's one caveat though. If you tell the universe to do 100 different things, none of it's going to happen. You need focus. You need clarity. Either through meditation, you might have to discover or try 3 billion trillion things before you find the thing that is right for you. And when you find what that thing is, write it down and make a plan. My kinesiologist, he told me, why don't you write down a 5-year plan? Which reminds me, I need to review that. And I wrote down, oh, I see, this happening in 2026. I see my daughter starting school. I see this happening and what have you. And looking back on it, you find a lot of things actually do happen because you've written it down. You've put that energetically into the universe and you're clear with what you want. Now, when you're clear with what you want, you're able to see all the things that are coming at you, all the opportunities, and you're like, nope, that's what I want. Is this thing aligned with my purpose? And if it's not, you say thank you, but not for me right now. And then another thing comes in and you're like, actually, that is quite aligned with what I want to do. And you align yourself with it. And things slow down and things calm down and you move forward to your purpose. But in moving forward to your purpose, you keep that flame alive in your heart. If you don't keep that flame alive in your heart, you do wither and die. In your heart, that is. Vesta also shows us what we need to guard. And that thing that we need to guard is how sacred it is to us. It could be 5 minutes at the end of the day just for you. That's sacred, that's non-negotiable. It could be something for your kids. It's non-negotiable, you are going to do this. You're probably like, well, Georgina, what's non-negotiable for your kids? They must learn Greek and they must follow their passion. Now, my son has a 5th house sun. That's a bit confusing. So when he was born, his sun fell into the 5th house of his chart. And he said to me the other day, Mum, I want to do sports. This is a first. And I'm like, do you want to do sports because your closest friends are doing it or because you want to do it? And he's like, because my friends are doing it. I'm like, no. And yeah, in front of everyone, I said, you have a 5th house sun. You're an artist. I support his artistic pursuits 100% because he just thrives at it. I can guard that, guiding him. That's for him. What about for me? I guard my alone time. Being an introvert helps me recharge my batteries. That is sacred to me. And in knowing that, I have 100% batteries to be able to help my family, to be able to contribute to the world and to speak to you all right now. You know, when you're a parent or when you've gone into a role of some sort of responsibility and you don't feel like yourself, you haven't really lost yourself. You have put an extra hat on and you have to remember who you are. You just have an extra hat on. That's all. You just got to look into that flame in your heart, what keeps it alive, and make sure you guard that. Because, things are going to happen. You're going to get overloaded. It doesn't matter if you're a parent. And I say that as a parent because I am one, and it's one of the most prominent things that are happening to me right now. You could be the CEO of an organization and, there is a big takeover. And you're like, right, I know what I'm doing with this, but my God, I'm exhausted. Please don't turn to drugs. Please don't turn to coffee and caffeine for stimulants and everything to keep yourself alive. Maybe exercise, maybe sleep better. Maybe go for those walks in the park. Go for the swim or a surf at the beach. Keep what is sacred to you and guard that with your life because it keeps your flame alive. And Vesta also shows us, how do we reconnect with our truth? Do we need to withdraw to reconnect with our truth? You don't have to be a complete hermit. Being alone and lonely are two completely different things. Being alone, you choose to be alone. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to take this weekend. I'm going to turn my phone off. I might binge watch something on Netflix. I might binge watch something on another streaming service. Do what you need to do to withdraw and connect with your truth. Because when we look at our Vesta, she shows us our path to authenticity. She teaches us that being ourselves begins with turning inward. It can involve stillness, solitude, focus, and listening deeply to our own needs before responding to external demands. Sometimes we need to look at that part of our souls that only we can see and only God, Goddess, Universe, Allah, Buddha, whatever you call them, that higher power can only see as well, to find our path to authenticity. Now, I mentioned previously about boundaries, how by not putting a mask on, people would start to invade my boundaries. And one thing I've discovered is that your boundaries are sacred. Just like the Vestal virgins who worshipped Vesta. And there wasn't a lot known about Vesta because they had their boundaries. They kept the secrets. They're like, no, you're going to stay there where you are. Where you are not allowed any further than this sanctuary or the sacred relics that we're guarding. And that symbolism with Vesta shows us how being our true self requires putting up boundaries that protect our sacred energy. Now, there will, I can guarantee you, be people in our lives that disrespect those boundaries. You don't have time for that. Life's too short. Vesta, like imagine the Vesta's temple, and you've got these beautiful ancient columns, and there's a fire hearth in the middle, and the Vestal virgins would take care of this hearth. If you let that flame go out and you were a Vestal virgin, you were punished. You needed to keep that flame going. And here's the thing. You need to maintain that flame. Be selective who comes into that temple, you see, because not everyone gets to enter your inner space. You can take that any way you like. Oh dear. But I'm joking. Look, you need to have those boundaries in place. If you have those boundaries, you'll be able to maintain and prevent, to some extent, burnout and dimming your flame. Now, when your authentic self has been overshadowed, you could be giving more than you should. There is emotional labor. You may be carrying others, loved ones. You may be a perfectionist. That is exhausting. It's so hard to upkeep all of these things. Perfectionism, that's like too much self-criticism. No. No one's perfect. Carrying others and caring for others, yes, let's go back to that old cliche. Yeah, you got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you help others. You need to take care of yourself before you care of others. There is such a thing as carer's burnout. And when you reach burnout, you just stop caring. And you find yourself exhausted and dreading caring for others. So if you are someone in a caring role, look to your Vesta. Look at what sign she's in. Look at what house she is in, and she'll help you reclaim your inner flame. If you don't know what house or sign she's in, just contact your favorite astrologer. Hello. Or any other amazing astrologers out there that can help you with discovering what sign and house your Vesta is in. Now, let's talk about midlife. In midlife, the transits, and I've seen clients in the middle of their midlife transits, and forgive me, guys, for those who are in their midlife and my clients, but you look like crap. They're exhausted. They look like they've been through the ringer. Oh my gosh, like they've run 3,000 marathons. And then when you see them again, after their midlife transits, they are so bright. The circles under their eyes are gone. They know where they're heading. They're so much better. They're much lighter. And it's not a bad thing. It's actually a really good thing to go through this midlife, or these midlife transits, because they often force us and they show us what we've been doing in our lives up until that point that is not sustainable any longer. We cannot live the rest of our lives doing what we did, but they also show us and force us to return to ourselves. And Vesta supports this through focus, purification, and letting go of what no longer aligns with your essence. When you hold on to what no longer aligns with your soul and your flame, the harder it'll be. Take it one day at a time. It's not an easy thing. But once you let go, oh wow, you finally see and you gain clarity in being your true self and where you're meant to be. Vesta shows us in midlife where and what is our life purpose. How we can fulfill that. We also see what we want in life and in our relationships. She's very first house, sitting on the ascendant, very much about the self, but she also sits a little bit into the 12th house, the house of the ego, where we can't see things. And sometimes you have to go into that dark house. It's actually a really cool house, the 12th house, but you need to go in there to gain the light. You have to shed before you can start anew and be reborn. Now, one thing I was mentioning earlier was about burnout and dimming your flame. And Vesta has a shadow side, and that is with being over-devoted. So you've got your focus, right, and your purpose, but you overdo it without having that balance in your life. You can sort of erase yourself a little bit. you'll find you're sacrificing too much. And if you're overcommitting, you might withdraw excessively from any support and connection around you. Remember, we are part of a collective. People need support. And if you're finding that your inner flame with caring for others is dimming, ask for help. Just speak to a friend, speak to a loved one, your partner. You never know. Speak to a child, a parent. You never know where support can be out there. There could even be government support. So, having said that, what daily practices can we do to live more authentically? You could light a candle, a white candle, and set an intention. And your intention could be, I need help. I need to see the signs, or I want to see the signs that I understand to find my life purpose. Now, you could have been or are a jack of all trades, master of none, and you're like, I've been there, done that, done everything. It's exciting. Love it. I won't go to my grave with any regrets, but I still don't know what I'm meant to do. Light that white candle. Sit quietly for a few minutes each day. And especially midlife, and especially if you identify as female, or rather, I should say, have an excess of estrogen and progesterone, we are prone to overwhelm and inflammation when we have those high levels or fluctuating levels of hormones. And I should rephrase that as well. If you identify as male and have higher levels of testosterone can also lead to inflammation. Yeah, not well known. It actually can. So I'm going to say for everyone, no matter how as you identify, whatever your predominant hormones are, but if you're in midlife especially, and if you're not in midlife, I highly encourage you to do this as well. Don't look at your phone for 1 hour. Seriously. Wake up slowly. You could write down your dreams if you want to, if you have a dream journal. Get up, have a shower, do what you need to do, whatever your ritual is, and leave it for an hour. It'll be there. If it's been waiting for you all night, it can wait another hour. Slowly get into things. Let that flame ignite again so you can face each day. And ask yourself, what does my inner flame need today? Could be something different. Could be a latte instead of a Freddo cappuccino. Could be, you know what, I'm going to have that iced chocolate at the cafe today when I go to work. Yeah, could be something like that. Remember to say no. Instead of FOMO, have JOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. JOMO, joy of missing out. You don't have to be everywhere at everything. I remember being so overwhelmed at one point, and I had gone to the dentist, and I had an amazing conversation with the receptionist, and she said, you know what I do now? I get these invitations, and I think, I believe it was around Christmas time when all these invitations were coming in, and she was like, thank you for your invitation. I will respond shortly, or I'll respond in a few days. She sat on it, meditated, see, do I want to spend my energy on this function or not? And if she didn't, if she dreaded it, she said, thank you for the invitation. Actually, I'm otherwise, booked, or I've got something else on. I'm really sorry. I'd love to catch up another time. Those that ignited the flame, she went to. And a lot of the things she didn't, because she frankly didn't want to. She was like, oof, no thanks. I'm exhausted. My flame needs tending to. And also create a physical and emotional sanctuary where you can meditate, where you can come back to yourself, calm, and let that flame reignite. I hope this has been helpful, has resonated with you. There's something in there that you're like, oh, I needed to hear that today. And I'll see you next time where we will explore another goddess. Until then, bye. Thank you for spending this time exploring the cosmos within and around us. I am grateful to share these reflections with you, and I hope they offered you a moment of insight, grounding, or reassurance. A special thank you to my producer, Jen Brown of JJ Boots Productions, for her care and support behind the scenes. Intro and outro music, Pulse Width by Tony Vodnik, licensed via Pixabay. If this episode resonated, feel free to share it with someone who may need it. You can find more of my work on my website, Instagram or Substack, where I offer astrology for every stage of life. Until next time, may your path be clear and your inner light steady.